Case number 5. I'm really looking forward to this one. Adult man with rapidly growing edematous painful nodule on dorsal hand. So here you have to lead me a little bit.
All right. Well, we can do the low power, we can piece together
Yes.
what we're seeing. And I think that there are some low power clues here that help us get to the
It's a lot of
diagnosis.
epidermal pseudoepitheliomatous epidermal hyperplasia, looks like.
Yeah, dramatic, right?
Dramatic. And then there's some kind of vascular component and
Right.
inflammatory component.
And tons of edema, right?
A
The
lot of
papillary
edema.
dermis is just so loose with edema in the background wherever there's not vessels. So I'm really curious to see if anyone can get this from what you're showing them here. Because I think it'd be fair to have several things in the differential. And I would have several things in the differential if, seeing a case like this. This case, I don't get the credit for diagnosing. It had been diagnosed prior to me. It's from a long, long time ago, but someone gave me the recut of it, and then I found out the history. So it's just a lovely example, though, of something that I don't see very often. Oh, there, perfect. You found the area. Good job, Artur. It's not your first rodeo.
Well, it's more a matter of luck.
Yeah.
Yeah, so here I think what you are referring to is that the squamous lesions, how do they look? The cytology. Is there anything abnormal there? There's kind of a smudgy nuclei, I guess. That's the key here, perhaps, right?
And then there's some little, well, I don't want to give it away. I want to see
Yeah.
if anyone knows what it is here. So you probably can run your mentee voting.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. Yeah, so what is your diagnosis on the mentee? I'll keep showing this around. Okay, so let's see, give it 10 more seconds. Ooh.
Wow.
Hmm. Okay.
Ooh, orphan Kaposi. That's a cool idea. I like that.
Orphan
Vascular
Kaposi. Yeah, I
great
mean, why
ideas.
not? Those
Why
can,
not,
I mean,
right?
during HIV epidemics, that would be very likely vascular and yeah. So you see here you can really appreciate the quality, exceptional quality of the dermpedia audience.
Yeah, good job, guys. Wow.
Your diagnosis, or I thought it was a fascinating. When I saw this case, I said, gosh, um, it's going to be amazing to make this diagnosis.
So the nice thing about ORF is if you think of it, then usually you can get some history that will end up really helping a lot, right? Because ORF is
Mhm.
a poxvirus that's contracted from goats and sheep, right? And it's actually relatively common in animals. And it goes by the name scabby mouth. So most people that raise goats and sheep are like farmers are pretty familiar with this. And even though I rarely see this biopsied in my practice, I've only seen a few cases in my career. There have been studies that looked at areas where there are lots of goat and sheep farming. I think maybe one of the studies from Australia or New Zealand, where when they surveyed farmers, like about 25% of them had reported that they had lesions that were consistent with ORF. They recognize what it is and they didn't go to the doctor. They know it'll get better in a couple of weeks and it'll be fine. So the ORF is a little challenging because it is a process. There's a virus that has different stages, right? So as it progresses, it gets more and more edematous. Then you get this massive expansion of the papillary dermis. The redi get really elongated and very, very thin. So that is the one thing here. It looks like pseudoepitheliomatous hyperplasia, but you can see some areas the redi are like extremely narrow, which is a little weird because usually when we see reactive pseudoepitheliomatous hyperplasia, it's kind of expanded, dilated, and there's some of that here, but there's also these really thin, delicate kind of stretched down redi. And then as the process progresses, it begins to develop this brisk, robust, reactive vascular component under it. And then when it gets like that, it can mimic a vascular lesion like Kaposi or vascular angiomatosis or pyogenic granuloma, lobular capillary hemangioma, even though admittedly it's not as lobular and usually you don't see so much edema in a PG, but I think it'd be very reasonable to think of any of those things. And then the classic thing you're supposed to find is in the epidermis, in the keratinocytes, you should see these little red or pink eosinophilic inclusions that are supposedly viral inclusions. So there are some, pink blobs there, but I don't know, like if you go up just a little bit, Artur, just from where you are, towards the top of your screen, if you just scroll like just a few keratinocytes higher, or not that much.
Mm.
That same area you were at, just a couple keratinocytes up there, some little globules. The problem is I see lots of little eosinophilic globules in tissue, especially when there's blood, when there's serum. So right at the bottom left corner of your slide, there's a little dot, a little pink dot in a keratinocyte in the actual like spinous layer down below the serum. If you zoom in a little bit, like right in there, there's a couple dots. So there you go. That little pink dot just below your arrow. Is that an ORF inclusion? I don't know. I'm not 100% convinced because there's some little tiny, tiny dots next to it. So I have to tell you, that's the test answer, guys. But in real life, I find these challenging to recognize. I mean, I can always find a little pink blob if I want, but am I really convinced that's a viral inclusion? No, I'm not. So maybe better people than me can do it. But what I like better is if I think about ORF and then I find out, oh, the patient recently had goat or sheep exposure, and we know that this makes sense, then great. I saw a case a while back that we were pretty sure was ORF, but it had tons of neutrophils in it and looked almost like sweets clinically and microscopically, but had tons of edema and long, thin, reedy. But it was on the scalp of a little kid. And it turned out the little kid had been to a goat farm, to a goat petting area just a couple weeks previously, and his head height was about the height of a goat's mouth. And so goats love to chew on everything, including hair. So we postulated that. We're still working on getting it published. The journals are like, well, we really want EM, so we're going to try to pull the case and see if we can run EM to prove that there's virus there. We found in that process, we searched a lot of labs, and no labs do molecular that we could find for ORF in the United States on patient samples. Some animal labs will do it, but so we really thought, oh, this should be easy, but we couldn't find anyone. So if anyone out there knows how I can get a viral or IHC testing, we even checked with the CDC. They have a stain, but they said they cannot do it on a CLIA a human patient sample unless it's a pure research sample. So to our sadness, we couldn't get it there. So if anyone else out there knows, I'd love to hear from you so we can prove our cases or our other cases or with neutrophils. But pretty cool and something we don't see often. I see Dr. Tyler's on here. He was a colleague here with me in Danville. And then he retired around just a bit after I started. And he said that sometimes we would see cases in Pennsylvania after the Bloomsburg Fair, which is the town I live in. And it's a huge, huge fair that's going to happen in, I think tomorrow is the first day it opens because they have animals there, lots and lots of animals. So sometimes occasional cases will pop up after the fair because of increased exposure to goats and sheep. So there you go.
Yeah,
That
wonderful.
patient actually also, I remember he was a transplant patient and he had cut himself while slaughtering a goat with a halal goat slaughtering for a festival. And he accidentally cut himself with a knife that had the goat blood on it. And then he developed ORF later. And his case was pretty severe because he was immune suppressed. And they ended up, I think they gave him like antiviral therapy and it finally went away. But he had a much more robust case than usual because he was immune suppressed, or that's what we theorized. It was long ago. I don't remember all the details.
Yeah, great, really great case. I was just trying to find a case on Dermpedia, and because I had a consult that I shared, so you can go and find it if you search for ORF. There are cases there too. Yeah, wonderful. I think that really expanded my differential diagnosis because I wasn't really that I wasn't that familiar with that pseudoepitheliomatous hyperplasia.
No, it's so extreme, right? And the
So
vascular part too. When I saw this case first,
because
I didn't conceptually know that they could be.
that must be the late stage. The
I
virus
think
is almost
so.
gone. There's
Yep.
just kind of a residual process.